Hey Rich, how you doing? Oh,
Hey,
AJ.
happy Monday.
AJ's in the lobby. Hey AJ, how you doing,
There
brother?
he is. Welcome.
Yes.
How are you guys doing? How are you guys doing? Thank you so much for having me.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
man.
Welcome. We
Our
just
pleasure.
launched our the show just a second ago, so we are just going live on every platform in a few seconds here. It's like populating out. So
That's exciting. I've never really done one of these. I'm not big on this, but like you guys are awesome. So I have to come say hi, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Can you
Just
guys
just
hear me
ride with
fine?
us, follow the leads, and it's gonna be an amazing conversation. Awesome.
Awesome.
Again,
I'm
it's a
excited.
conversation, so remember that. Don't
Yeah,
worry about anything more than that. It's just a conversation. So
exactly.
I appreciate it. I'm already feeling comfortable. Thank you so much, guys.
good.
We're giving the audience spoilers of what also happens inside of the nooks, So remember, whenever you join the good times that we have, those cozy conversations, that's what's all about. And today is more
Always.
special than ever because obviously we have you as an official guest. So it's gonna be great to kind of get to know you better, everything you're doing, and
I'm
obviously
losing you, brother. I
just
can't really hear you.
You you can't hear?
can you hear me? Sound
Hello?
check.
Hello?
Yep.
I believe your connection is a little unstable because I kind of see
Can you
you
guys
kind
hear
of.
me on your end?
Yes, I can
Yes.
hear you.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can't really hear you guys. That's unfortunate.
Are you on
Give me a
Wi-Fi
second.
or 5G? Sound check. But as our guests just figure out some technical
Yep.
problems,
That's so weird.
so for a bit of context, Humphrey is a great guy. We met through LinkedIn, and he just has
Is
this
that better?
awesome vibe. He's based out in Boston, right, Humphrey?
Yeah, he's still working, but yes, he's in Boston.
Yes. Rich is in Philly. I'm in Brazil, and that's what's up.
Yeah, and
Hey,
sometimes
Humphrey.
technology just likes to play games with us. So
Exactly. Can you hear us, Humphrey? Can you hear us? Sound check.
Are you there? Are you there?
yep, starting to come back. Maybe.
Hey, Humphrey.
Can you hear us?
Can you
Guys hear me
can you
still?
hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys. Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yep.
Yes, yes. Now it's a lot
Awesome.
better. All right. So as I
Awesome.
was saying,
There's a little bit of a delay.
Yep.
yeah, I'm getting a little loop from the sun as well. But all right, it's a pleasure to have you here, brother. Since we connected, like was, let's put it that way, was instant connection. Because for the audience, Humphrey, he has been in like cybersecurity for almost like a decade, working in a lot of companies such as like Deloitte and a lot of other tech companies, so he knows his stuff, and it's going to be a great conversation. And besides all of that, he has this great vibe, he's really into self-knowledge. He's an outlier, he's this dot outside of the curve, amazing human being. He loves to read. He can dive in about a bunch of books, and that's an amazing perspective that we get for him. And last but not least, as we dive into this, he is the founder of Angel Intelligence. So, all right, Humphrey, great to have you here. Thank you for joining us in Kornerz conversation. Let's start from the beginning, brother. Like, how did you dive into cybersecurity in the first place?
Um, First of all, thank you so much for that introduction. That is very humbling. I'll try to live up to that. Um, I think my I guess for a little bit of context, um, I came to the U.S. when I was like a 12-year-old kid. But prior to that, back home in Nigeria, I used to live with my mom, and there's this TV show 24. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's like there's this main character guy, and he's like the guns blazing secret agent kind of person. He's like the coolest guy on the show. He's the main character. But I was always fascinated by like his psychic, Chloe Sullivan, because she would be the
Yes.
person like in the like office, and I thought she was the badass. I thought she was the cool one because she didn't have to go places or like hold guns and like to make things happen. She was like God's eye almost, and I'd always been very fascinated with that. So fast forward as I got older and started kind of, I think I was in high school and I was thinking about what I wanted to do. I was taking a dual enrollment class, which is kind of like college level class in high school. And somebody from Microsoft came in to speak. And he was like, again, this is at this time, it was maybe like 2014-ish and 2013, 2014-ish. And he came in to speak and he was kind of like, there aren't enough software developers in the world. That was kind of what his whole spiel was about at this time. Um, when he said that, I've always been fascinated by like doing things everybody else is like sleeping on. What is cool that people aren't doing? Both in tech and in art. That's always what I'm fascinated with. Like, what are the subtext perspectives that we're always overlooking? So when he said that, it resonated with who I was. Here I am, like, as a high school kid, listening to Frank Sinatra and Bessie Smith and like really old music that my friends didn't relate to,
Powerful.
and it just leaned into my identity as an outlier almost. And so I started doing some, I guess, self teaching in high school, and I bought a book on. Actually, that's a lie. A mentor got me a book on SQL, and so I started with SQL, HTML, hypertext stuff, and then I realized I didn't enjoy writing code. I was bored of it, and I was bored quickly. I'm somebody who needs to be stimulated, so I like the pseudo logic part of like trying to work out the problem. But in terms of actually writing code, that was never fun for me. And then I remembered Chloe Sullivan, and I was like, whoa, what did she do? That was cool. I want to figure out what Chloe Sullivan did. And I started doing the Googles, and I figured out she was a security analyst. And me being a very ambitious person, I went on the NSA website and I was like, how do I become a security analyst here? And I saw, the educational context you needed in the background. So by the time I was a junior in high school, I knew what major I wanted to get into, and I'd been self-teaching in that track. And I started watching Eli the Computer Guy. If anybody knows Eli the Computer Guy on YouTube, this is maybe really old, but he gave me my first real definition of hacking, which is a non-conventional way of gaining access into a system. Again, that word non-conventional stuck out with me because, again, I was an outlier amongst my peers, and I was always somebody who thought, I guess, at the edge case of whatever the conversation was about. And so I was kind of like, whoa, I became a script kiddie essentially, right? It's like, I feel like that's how you start. We rag on script kiddies, but that's how you start, right? And I would take scripts from online, and I would watch Eli the Computer Guy after school, and I would start playing with Kali Linux, which was, I think, Backtrack 5 or something like that at the time. Um, and that's how I got started. And by the time I was a freshman in college, I was like, I've self-taught enough to want to be able to like go do this full time somewhere. And fortunately for me, I was also the captain of the NESB junior chapter in the president, of the NESB junior chapter in high school. So I was at a conference with some really, I guess, smart, connected people at the time. Again, I was a high school kid, and I so happened to connect with somebody who I guess was in the cyber risk division at Deloitte at the time. And he gave me his card. I remember vividly walking up to him. Again, I'm a freaking high school kid. I walk up to him and I'm like, I want to work here. I want an internship. And like, that's all I said. And he was like, he gave me his card and he was like, what? Reach out to me when you're in college. And so after my freshman year in college, this is probably like 4 years, I held onto his card. I found it. Whoa. I reached out. I sent him a picture of the card on LinkedIn. I was like, hey, man, 4 years ago, I approached you and you said to reach out. And here I am 4 years later. I've done some self-teaching. I've had a little bit of context in terms of classes. And he got me an interview, which was pretty cool because Deloitte typically are very selective in the schools they recruit from. And they didn't recruit from my school. And because I remember going to our careers office and asking them like, hey, I want a job. Can you guys help me? And they were kind of like, no, you need to be a junior before we can co-sign you and like support you to get a job. And so I ended up doing the interview rounds with Deloitte, got that on my own. And then after my first year with them, that same guy that I went to at school came to me and asked if I could build a relationship between the school and Deloitte, which I thought was a bit hilarious. But yeah, and then after that, I think I started thinking bigger picture. I'm a bit of a strategist for better and worse. I mean that wholeheartedly. And so I think from freshman year, I started thinking about how can I get really good at this? How can I position myself to be really, really good at this? And I think context is a theme that's always come up in my life. And I realized I needed as much contextual understanding of the cybersecurity space as I could get. So I started with cyber risk at Deloitte. Then I moved to more hands-on work in the SOC in my next role at State Street. And then from there, I moved into like a pen testing role, a penetration testing role. And then from there, I did some SecOps work, and then cloud stuff. And then I got to a point in my career where I was kind of like, wait, I've kind of touched a little bit on everything. Like I feel like I've gotten a good feel of what cybersecurity is as an industry. But then I also realized the higher you go in your career, the more siloed. They want to make you a specialist at something. And that's like the quickest way to bore me out, is make me wake up and do one thing over and over and over again for the rest of my life. That sounds like hell. I didn't want that, And so I was kind of thinking about, what do I do? How do I move from this box I felt like I was in? And that so happened to align with my fundamental life mission at that time, which we can get into later. But and then I decided to build Angel Intelligence, because for me it was realizing that, well, if the world was a company, cybersecurity as an industry is probably like the IT team of the world, if that makes sense. But the cybersecurity industry in the B2C space is almost non-existent. And that's in part because of traditionalist thinking around cybersecurity and how cybersecurity has often been communicated as data or privacy, when cybersecurity is truly self-care. It's digital hygiene, right? And I think those are languages that resonate with my generation and Gen Alpha. And so for me, well, our mission at Angel Intelligence is to make the internet emotionally intelligent, because we realize that issues like depression and anxiety and identity dysphoria and suicide, these are byproducts of an emotionless digital space, right? And here you have the internet, which is like the primary communication infrastructure of humanity. That's essentially what the internet is, right? And it was built by really, really brilliant people. All of the corridors in the internet was built by really intelligent people. I take nothing away from them. But there were high IQ people that didn't think about the emotional nuances of building something like this. And so it is no surprise that the symptoms or the effect, the negative effect the internet has had is emotional, because there was no emotional layer. And so my life mission is, after 10, 11 years of obsessively studying the human condition, I found that miscommunication is probably the root cause problem humanity faces. I remember being a 17-year-old kid and trying to peel back the layers and go,
Interesting.
well, thank you, right? It feels like all of the problems we're trying to solve are like byproduct of a deeper issue. And I have OCD, so obsessively, I spent the next 10 years trying to figure that out. And so for me, when I realized it was miscommunication, it was easy to go, well, the internet is our communication infrastructure. The internet is off balance because it's very logic heavy, not very emotional in tune. And so at Angel, that's our goal. It's like, let's fix that problem. Let's build an emotionally intelligent internet, and we think that can fix miscommunication at scale.
I love that.
That's my little spiel.
I love the way you framed that and all that. That was just, I mean, it's very enlightening because you're exactly on point from everything you were saying. I can hear exactly the issues that they were right there. Like, that is the case where people just don't understand that communication level that's lacking in there, even though the internet is nothing but communication. It's the way it's done that's causing that disconnect all the time. And that's not just in the internet. That's in a lot of society right now. There is that deep layer where there is a disconnect all around. And I think something like what you're doing will help with stuff like that. But let's go. I want to go back though, because I love that you talked about Jack Bauer, right? I think his name was, from 24.
Yeah.
I heard you.
Legend.
Sorry, I heard you being Jack Bauer all the way through. I'm like going, okay, that would be Jack. That would be Jack. So I can see how you kept him, that whole idea of him throughout your life, and really resonated, which is probably why Deloitte also hired you too, because you kept persistent, even though you didn't like bug them or anything like that. You were persistent of wanting that as enough that you came back with that card and said, hey, look, I've been waiting. I did what you said. Here I am. And that's exactly why you got something like that, because he probably wouldn't have done anything else if you just said, hey, just reaching out. But because you had the card and everything, you hit all the notes of what an employer would want, let alone just showing that someone who's really dedicated to what they want to do. And that was a Jack, dedicated to everything he wanted to do. So I can see how you really resonated him throughout your life. So that's pretty cool.
That, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I think, and Khalil, you probably can probably testify to this as well. But resilience, building a company it'll teach you that. It's like resilience is such a valuable skill. I think it's funny because earlier today I was thinking about it, and genuinely speaking, there's smarter engineers out there than I am. Like, there's some crazy geniuses out there. And there are also people that work harder than, there are 9 billion people in this world. For me to think I work the hardest and I'm the smartest it's ridiculous. It's very egotistical to think, I think. However, I think where the hardest working person and the smartest people often fail is fortitude. To be able to embrace the pressure that comes with responsibility and execute repeatedly through whether the vision is far or close to reality to keep the pressure, keep the gas. Yeah, I think it's a very important life skill that it can definitely open a lot of doors to you. And I just want to say real quick, while I appreciate the light you guys are putting on Angel, I think the work you guys are doing, it is very fundamental to fixing that miscommunication issue, right? I always say, why pick a side when you could broker a truce, reconcile all? That's my personal life motto, if you will. And from the very first time I saw Kornerz on LinkedIn and saw what you guys were doing and saw the direction that you guys were going, and then had the first conversation with Khalil, and we just nerded out over philosophy and over
Yes.
over a good world, a good
Yeah.
digital, a healthy digital space where communication felt genuine and grounded in something real. I just want to say you guys are doing something absolutely special, man.
Thank you,
All right.
brother. And likewise, brother, because and whenever following up what you said, whenever we kind of engage and start talking, and obviously I get to know you more and what are you doing, like it's great because obviously we see a lot of people talking about, this, oh, how the world would be better. And whenever I met you, I said, I'm like, this guy is actually doing it, like he knows what's up and he rolled up his sleeves and he's like taking action. You know what I mean? And that's gnarly. And obviously, this kind of dives into the to my question around leadership because what you said is very beautiful. And whenever we see entrepreneurs and in startup world, we see like thousands and thousands and thousands of new companies being born every day. But unfortunately, only 0.0003% of those companies are going to really make it. You know what I mean? So the numbers are very harsh, but only because of the leadership, for you said about grit, about relentless. And obviously, the most beautiful part about this, Humphrey, is Einstein as well. You said about great minds, and whenever we look around, said, "Oh my God, look at of those amazing individuals," technically speaking, and so on and on. And but the most beautiful part is doesn't matter what it takes. Einstein could never ever be Humphrey. He can't. So what? That's what makes you unique. So I would love to hear from your perception. How do you drive your goals? How do you keep yourself going even through tough times? Because whenever everything's good, it's awesome, but that's how we separate the outliers from the dreamers, like they keep going, and
Yeah,
that's you, my brother.
I appreciate that. I'm not the best at taking compliments, but I take it with much gratitude. I really do appreciate that. I think I'm learning every day. I'm still growing for sure. Still got a ways to go. But I think to answer your question, a few things come to mind. One, routine. Because I think, let's start with the practical first, right? I think a routine keeps you grounded. I often make a joke that it keeps you rooted, but I spell rooted with like rooted. And so I wake up in the morning, usually maybe around 6 a.m. Um, I do my prayers. I go for a nature walk in the morning, meditate. If your mind and your body isn't good, that's context. Again, context, right? That's context for whatever you do. And so, yeah, so I actually listen to like sound waves. So like I listen to alpha waves in the morning. I listen to gamma waves or beta waves when I need to focus. I listen to theta waves at the end of the day to wind down. Yeah, that really does help, right? um, yeah, so keeping myself rooted definitely gives me that context to be able to function and execute. And then two, I would say, which is probably more important. I always say there are three types of entrepreneurs. There are three types of builders. I think one build for money, which is like, I don't know, this is just a me thing, but whenever I see serial entrepreneur in somebody's profile, I'm like, I'm good, respectfully. But I think some people build for money, some people build for legacy, and some people build to solve problems. And I think that I'm probably in the third. I've been obsessing over the problem I've been trying to solve since I was a 17-year-old kid, you know, and 5 solo exhibits, a published book, and like a cybersecurity career later, all of that created the appropriate context for me to build what I'm building today. And every single one of those iterations of my growth as an individual, it was anchored in asking the why and trying to solve miscommunication. So I did it through art because I thought design was a very simple way to communicate. It was a very democratized way to communicate. And then now I'm doing it through technology because that's how you scale it. You know, while art might be the easiest means to communicate an idea or a feeling or a philosophy, technology, that's how you scale it. So I think one, have a routine that keeps you grounded. Two, have a why that is so daring. Like at 17, I said I was going to save the world. If you tell people your goals and they don't look at you like, what right do you have? Then you're not actually trying, right? I want to tell people I'm gonna save the world, and I mean that. And I've dedicated 10 years to that, and I'll do another 10, 20, 30, 40 years to that, right? So waking up every day, for me, it's like, well, the next 17-year-old kid that has all these why questions, that when they come around, when they exist on the internet, I can make their lives better, even before they know me. They don't even have to know me. So I think that's enough context. And then when I think about it, I guess existentially, you know, like God. I think I always say Jesus taught me how to human, Virgil taught me how to design. I'm trying to design a better life. And I say that because, you know, at 12, 13, I started living without parents. So the older I got, the more I leaned on scripture, and the more I started asking myself, well, who did this life thing the best? And Jesus is my reference point. So I think every single day that I wake up, I try to make impact. It's not because I need or want anything in return. It's because I am grateful that he saw me through as a 13-year-old homeless kid in a new country, being able to be where I am today. So I just want to do that for every human being as best as I can. And the best way to do that at scale is build an angel. So I think, yeah, have a strong why, stay rooted, have a routine that keeps you grounded, and make sure you have a master. Because if you don't have a master, then like you don't answer to anything. You have no loyalty to anything. Mine is Jesus, so that keeps me in line and focused with the mission. So yeah, I think those are probably the things that give me that context to be able to execute without stopping.
That's amazing. Number one, I do have to say, you belittle yourself in a little bit there, where you kind of said you weren't, you know, as smart as others. Don't, you know, you are as smart, if not smarter. Others might have a different type of smart, but doesn't mean that they're smarter than you. You have a different type of smart, and that's just as important as their smartness. So don't belittle that, because you have an amazing insight, probably some insights that most of those geniuses will never have, because they don't look at the world that way. You look at it in a much different way, and you are utilizing your genius for a whole different purpose. So I do want you to hear that, because I think that's really important. To to your whole leadership style there, you pretty much, as an entrepreneur, you described a strong leader, who is focused on getting to the success of any business. And that's the core to a strong leader, is to know the right steps, and to be persistent with those steps. So I give you kudos and all that. That's amazing.
That's super kind of you, brother. I really appreciate that. It's funny because our VP of Creator Care, she also brought this up recently, where she was like, "Hey, like, you don't belittle yourself." And just for like context, I do that often enough, and it's not so much that I'm belittling myself. It's more so that
You're humbling.
it's not even, honestly, I don't even think I'm humble. I think I don't care to be smart. Like, I don't care to be the smart person in the room. Like, I don't. So when I say that I'm not the smartest, that's me objectively understanding there are 9 billion people in the world, and I'm not. So it's just an objective fact. And I think the reason I say that is because I remember at some point in my life, probably when I was in high school, feeling like I didn't have any talent, feeling like, I wasn't cool because I wasn't the strongest or the fastest or this or the that. And I think the reason I always reiterate about my lack of ability is because I want every single person that comes in contact with me to leave understanding that you don't have to be the smartest, and you don't have to be the best to make a real deep impact. And I think that, especially for kids today, I think it's super necessary that people, when people come to my exhibits and they give me compliments, it's like, no, I tell them I'm not talented. Because I remember being in the baseball field as a 15-year-old kid crying that I wasn't talented. So now, like, all of a sudden people are like, oh, you're smart or you're talented. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I don't want to be. I just want to do the job. And then I want to be able to tell kids that, hey, you don't have to be smart or talented to do the job. You just need to want to do the job and dedicate your whole life to it. You see what I'm saying? So it's not so much me trying to be humble or like belittling myself, though I do see how it could come off that way traditionally, but it's very intentional.
Mhm. I would say the only thing I would try to change that slightly, because it's not so much that you're you're not smart. You're smart in a different way, and you got smart because you pulled yourself out of that cycle there that you had. You were in a cycle where you felt like you weren't talented, you couldn't do things, and you dedicated yourself to learn and to get to that point where you became that smart person. So you are smart in a different way, and that's all you want to let the kids know, that yes, they can become smart. They don't have to be smart to start with. They can become smart. They just have to dedicate and do the hard work, like you said, to get there. So I would just try to adjust that wording, because I think in your mind it starts to play on you, and you, even though you might not think that you're down, putting down yourself, you are in a slight way, and it can start to hit on you. So be careful with that, because I know how you're talking about words and how they can affect you. That's one of the ways that words can affect you, is they, over time you keep saying that, and it kind of starts to hit in your mind in a different way. So flip it around, and say, look, I brought myself to be this smart. Maybe I didn't start out smart, but I taught myself so I could be this smart.
I like that. I like that perspective a lot. I don't know that I agree with it 100% necessarily, but I've never seen it from that perspective. So I will take a second to like. I like that. I
Yeah,
appreciate that, man. Thanks.
yeah.
Yeah, and to prove that, and we started to wrap up the conversation. Tell everyone what's angel intelligence, how people can find more information about it, so briefly walk us through, this amazing company that you're building.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you. Thank you for the space and time. Yeah, I think, like I said, Angel Intelligence, the goal is to make the internet emotionally intelligent. We are building that emotional infrastructure through three core value props: growth, protection, and wellness. We think these are the three layers for a balanced diet, what I would call a balanced experience, a balanced digital experience, which is everybody wants to grow, right? Everybody wants to feel safe, right, in a safe space so you could be your true self. And everybody wants that emotional resonance. Everybody wants to know that they understand themselves and the world they're interfacing with understands them as well. And so currently we serve creators. We help creators that are aligned with our mission, creators that are elevating signal in a very noisy digital space. We help them grow by essentially they integrate their socials and we're able to correlate data points like how often they post, what they post, what platform they post on that's performing the best. We're able to give them all of these insights and recommendations down to like the time they should post, what platform they should post on, all of those, what type of content, all of those nuanced details based on their data insights. And so we help them grow and then we keep them protected from abusive behavior, hate speech, impersonation, content theft, stuff like that. And then also give them the digital wellness value prop through like being able to track their burnout, being able to help them with like brand health, using a project tracker there that can help them organize because creators are often scatterbrained, which I can resonate with to some extent. And so all of this is on one platform, right? And it is very seamless. If you want to find us, you can check us out at homeangel.io. That's our product site. You can also probably check us out on LinkedIn, just Angel Intelligence. We're definitely trying to build for creators that have something valuable to share with the world and they feel like, you know, the algorithms just isn't seeing them or corporate just takes advantage of them. But yeah, we're here for the creators to help scale that mission for good.
Very cool. Very cool.
Awesome.
I love that.
Appreciate it, brother.
Okay, well,
Thank you so
anyone
much
that's
for
interested,
having
they
me,
can
guys.
find you on LinkedIn. You said so. Definitely, everyone should check you out on LinkedIn and learn more about the Angel network that you're building and how that can really help with everything around what they're doing of security wise as well as growth. Because it sounds like you got some amazing stuff that you're working with there. So really look forward to learning more and we definitely want to have you back to learn more about that as we go. But today, this was a great way of us getting to know you and getting the audience to know you and learn more about you. So we're very grateful that you were here.
Yeah, and for
Thank you
the
both so much.
it's our pleasure, man. And for the audience, Humphrey is also, a member of Corners. He's jumping in a few nooks with us, so you always have the opportunity to have a conversation with him. In this cozy place that we develop. And for the last part of our conversation, we also invite the audience to jump on over with us, and have a great conversation. Feel as our after conversation, so that's
Yeah.
that's how we wrap up. So everyone that is online watching us, you can join Corners in a little bit with us in the lounge nook as we move forward with the conversation. And obviously, if you're not available, feel free to join Corners or reach out to Humphrey or Rich or me, to get the conversation going. If you have any questions, we're always open to chat.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for the time. I can't say enough how great you guys are. For like everybody watching, these are incredible human beings building something actually valuable. And for me, that's very big. The level of respect I have for you both. Yeah, I think you know it. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks,
you. Thank you for
brother.
the kind words.
Thanks for joining us. All right, man.
Everyone join us over on Kornerz right now. And then if you can't join us there, join us again on Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. We look forward to our next conversation. So thank you all. Have a great day.
Awesome.
Cheers. All right.
Cheers.